What's going on there, folks? Good morning. It is the Earthmaster here on this beautiful, it is Thursday, May 19th, 2022 date. Pretty windy out here in California right now. Hopefully the stream holds up. It is about 8:39 a.m. California time. Latest quake shows a 2.0 earthquake up into the Alaska region. On the Earthquake 3D globe, let's go ahead and check out activity throughout the last 24 hours here on the USGS map. Had some pretty large earthquake activity right around our watch area where we've been kind of watching this zone here through New Zealand, Kermadec Trench area. Although this earthquake here, the 6.9, pretty large earthquake, just a little south, but still along this plate boundary. I was kind of watching here over the last couple days, last couple weeks actually, just due to the fact of sufficient deep earthquake activity here to the north and prior activity here through the Papua New Guinea region there over the last couple weeks or so, with only very minimal adjustment along this plate boundary. But finally kicked in. 6.9 earthquake about 5 or 6 hours ago, early morning hours, about 10 kilometers or so below the surface. So a little bit of earthquake activity. No tsunami statement or warning or anything from this earthquake. There was a foreshock of a 5.5. It's going to be right underneath that 6.9 just by only a couple minutes. So sometimes these forequakes there pop up and then bam, a much larger quake. It does tend to happen quite often, but not 100% of the time. Some further activity up here, deeper movement once again around the Fiji Islands area and the Samoa region. Look at this, some of this earthquake activity close to 600 kilometers deep. Just was only adding to the activity that we just seen down south. We just seen another 4.8 earlier this morning here. Looks like 554 kilometers, another deep one in that area. So quite a bit of movement down here on the southern portion of the globe. The South Sandwich Islands area was really rocking last night with quite a few earthquakes. Seen quite a few fives kicking up here into the South Sandwich Trench. That activity was kicking up before the 6.9 that we've seen earlier this morning here. This earthquake here in the South Pacific Ocean, believe that was from yesterday, late afternoon time frame. But overall, definitely seen a noticeable increase in movement down here across the southern portion of the world. Looking up here to the north around the Mariana Trench, all looks pretty quiet here today. Did see some movement this morning here off the coast of Japan again at the northern end of this trench, just south there of the Japan Trench, with a 4.9 earthquake at 10 kilometers. Excuse me. A dry north wind out here today. It's just extremely dry, major fire hazard. Let's see, look at South America. Super duper quiet, not a whole lot going on there. And the Puerto Rico area, this is 2.5 and above. Only one earthquake of 2.7 magnitude there around Puerto Rico. And bringing in the all magnitudes does not even help it out. Only about 10 earthquakes showing up there around that area of the Caribbean Sea. Checking out the western portion here of the states. Southern California really lighting up here on the Pacific side of the plate boundary. Of course, the San Andreas fault zone there, plate boundary between the North American and the Pacific plates. Getting a little bit of movement off of the San Jacinto fault zone. A little cluster of quakes here within the last hour, I'd say, near the Anza area. 12 kilometers seemed to be the magic number. A bunch of little microquakes kicking off there in the region of the Anza area. Look at the satellite view. Not for sure what we have out there. Looks like maybe some type of racetrack, dirt track out there in the desert, but nothing at the surface levels. Again, that's about 12 kilometers or so below this surface here. Either way, pretty good swarm. Also seen some activity kicking up here in between the Brawley seismic zone which is an extensional southern segment here of the San Andreas Fault, down to the Imperial Fault here. One little earthquake. Got to watch this area for some potential swarming. It does kick up on occasion. A 1.4 just outside of Brawley at 5.2 kilometers. Looking up to the North Ridgecrest and the eastern Sierra Nevadas here, kind of tapering off a little bit. Still seeing some movement out here around the Death Valley area. Seen some of this movement last night, or late afternoon, early evening time frame, with a couple earthquakes out there in the Death Valley region. Up through the Bay Area, got one earthquake here on the Hayward Fault. It looks like a little small microquake, a 1.3. Pretty shallow movement at 1 kilometer or so, just outside of the Bay Area. And some movement up into the Northern California region, south of Chico, and outside of Mount Lassen once again. Nothing specifically going on there at Mount Lassen currently. One earthquake up here by Mount Shasta. Haven't seen Mount Shasta kick up in a while. Got a 2.2 near the McLeod area at 5.9 kilometers. This earthquake looks like it struck within about, it's a beautiful volcano, by the way. Pretty dominant feature out here across Northern California and Southern Oregon. Can see it for hundreds of miles. The 3 point, or at, looks like about just less than a mile or so. 3 miles from the summit, but about the base there. You can kind of see the broad area of uplift on the topography map here, but it's definitely within that area. We'll have to watch that pretty closely. Again, they do get, Mount Shasta does get swarms on occasion, but it's been quite a while since we've seen one. Mount Hood got a little earthquake right smack dab on the summit. A volcano up there in Oregon, beautiful featured volcano up there as well. 0.7 0.7 for a magnitude, 1.8 shallow earthquake there at Mount Hood. Nothing showing up here through Washington. I find that rather odd. Nothing. So let's go ahead and check out a little bit of volcanic seismograph stations, and we'll come back here to the map here in a second. Let me see what's going on here. Let me jump off of there. And go over here to the Tremor map. Not for sure what was up with that window. Kind of suspicious. When one window operates kind of slow and all the others are fast, it's like, what's going on here? Tremor activity from the last night time frame, or yesterday I should say, was about 172 epicenters of tremor. Excuse me. Again, thank you for morning coffee. Let's see if I can get through this without my voice completely dying. Volcanic seismicity map. Goodness. Mount St. Helens area. Go ahead and zoom in here to the volcano area. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Look at the S waves once again from the 6.9 earthquake that struck earlier this morning there. In the Macquarie Island area. A lot of S waves kicking up through the earth. As far as local seismic activity, there's definitely been a couple earthquakes here. Well-defined ones as well in the Mount St. Helens region. I don't believe the PNSN network is reporting any of this activity. Nada. Last earthquake reported was from about 6 days ago. And we've definitely seen some earthquake activity since then. So no reporting from those folks today or the last week. Not for sure what's going on. Check out Mount Hood, since there's that activity kind of kicking up. They are reporting that earthquake, 0.7, 1.1 miles there. I'll go ahead and check out the volcanic. See, unfortunately, they don't have a lot of seismographs here directly at the summit level, but we will check this station called Palmer Lift. Sometimes a lot of interference does kick in on this station. I remember checking it out here recently, but we'll see what they have here. There's that typical interference. Whatever it is, it comes up every day. There's the S waves kicking up throughout the Mount Hood region once again. And the timestamp on this earthquake here around Mount Hood looks to be about 0149 UTC time. 0149 UTC time would put it somewhere over here. Maybe this one. But then again, looking at the map, there's been a couple more since that quake, so I find that a little odd. All right, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the western part of the country. Little activity stretching up once again through Utah up into the Yellowstone region where things kind of looking a little calmish today. Let's go ahead and check out the activity. Calmer, I should say. Not a whole lot of microquakes and whatnot going on at the moment. Over here around Denny Creek area, looks like a couple small microquakes. A lot of times this type of readings on the seismograph are wind related. It kind of looks like that's the picture there. We do have an insider low pressure system kind of squeezing in between California and this area, bringing down the jet stream with it. So I'm sure quite windy conditions up here. Although this earthquake here around Hebgen Lake, definitely a well-defined earthquake. Not just those thin little spiky lines that you see, which is not indicative of any type of earthquake. This one here, yes. That one up here, yes. But these other little ones that are thin, and you can barely, there's no subsequent line like that. Yeah, it's definitely some wind events over here kicking up there at Yellowstone. No earthquake activity to report on the eastern section of the park today. Things look, as I mentioned, somewhat calmer. Back to the earthquake map here and see if we got anything going on throughout the rest of the country. Oklahoma looks about the same from last night. Texas has really died off. Nothing going on through New Madrid zone or the eastern part of the country. And wow, what do we got here? Got a 5.1 coming into the Indonesia region here just a short time ago. Lighting up on the globe, on the map. Pretty shallow though, 3.8 kilometers. Okay, let's see what we got. Hawaii. Zooming in here to the Big Island, Mauna Loa, a little earthquake activity up here, 2.5. Right at the top towards the crater. Very shallow earthquake, 0.7 kilometers in the negative depth range. And looks like activity on the southeastern portion of the Big Island still remains somewhat quiet. About 9 earthquakes or so within this region. And Lower East Seamount, one earthquake way off there. 3.2 at 13.6 kilometers there in the area. Let's see what else we got. Aside from that, man, just a couple areas definitely to watch with the 6.9 movement. I'm sure we can expect to see some further activity throughout this area of the Indian Ocean. Southeast Indian Ridge should see some adjustment accordingly. From looking at the past 24 hours of activity here between the South Sandwich Islands, the south of New Zealand area, and the South Pacific Ocean. I should see at least something pop up here today in the 5 range, so we'll see how that goes today. Solar weather activity is another story. That thing is really kicking up. Sunspot activity is really ramping up. We did have a fairly large M flare kick up overnight. Of course, the most recent one in M1.1, just coming down from that level. We did have an M5. I believe that was a 5.5 kick up. Pretty large flare. That was followed up by another M1.5. It looks like. And those sunspots there. Let me bring up this image here. Make sure we got the most recent one, which I believe we do. Let me refresh that just to make sure. We're looking at the dynamics of this sunspot activity, 3014 last night, and definitely looking highly likely that we're going to see some further activity today with the intermixing of the fields, the polarities, pretty close in terms of producing at least another upper M flare, if not an X flare. Let me check this out here. Yeah, that's about the only one currently that has the specific dynamics in terms of producing something solid, possibly, like I mentioned, getting into the X-flare category. There is some further sunspot development coming around as well. So it's getting quite active, and the majority of these sunspot regions are Earth facing as far as position goes on the sun itself. There's 3014 once again, and some new developing sunspots coming around the bend. The rest of these sunspots, not impressive whatsoever. A lot of them are decaying, dying off. They got their 15 seconds of fame, and they're just kind of fading away. 3014 looks to be the culprit of some possible large flaring here in the near future. I'm talking possibly today. X flare remains at about 15% probability. Protons up to around 5% chance, 35% chance of an M flare, and 99% chance for a C flare. Looking at the geomagnetic forecast here, looks like we did reach some thresholds overnight, and right now in the 3 KP index range as expected on the forecast, but nothing specifically large coming in that we need to worry about for as the geomagnetic storming. So that could change though with these sunspots facing us and any subsequent CME that it does produce. Definitely a geo-effective, Earth directed, and bullseye shot if anything does pop off here in the coming hours and the days ahead. Let's see what else we got. I believe that's about it, folks. The European model EMSC station here showing about the same activity as the USGS. They have this here at a, let me back out here. USGS had this earthquake down here at the Macquarie Island. I believe they had originally came in as a 6.7. They ended up upgrading that earthquake to match the EMSC model down here. There's another earthquake way out here, 4.7, 5.7. I wonder if did the USGS report that 4.7? Doesn't look like they did. Not listed on the map there, unless this is a much older earthquake. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here again. It's going to be pretty windy here today. We got some extreme fire conditions coming in, super dry. It's supposed to be hot, dry, windy, and we're entering into the fire season, unfortunately. That's another thing I do cover here on the channel is fires. So between storm chasing, earthquakes, and whatnot, we'll probably slip in some fire trips here, depending on the location of them. I'm hoping we don't get fires, but unfortunately they do pop up, and they pop up on events like this when we have major wind events and dry fuel. So stay tuned. I'm not looking forward to any smoky skies, but that does tend to happen here in California. Unfortunately, it's been a pretty dry winter, and it's hot, and it's dry and windy, and it's affecting my voice big time. But it is what it is, folks. Have a great day. We will chat you guys a little bit later on, unless something kicks off here between now and then. I'll do, of course, an update. All right, guys. Take care. Stay safe out there. We will chat you a little bit later.